Alright, welcome back. It's Duke and Dave. I didn't realize it's been 3 weeks since our last update, so we got a lot to go over. Last week we had a bunch of rain and wind, so the lake level went up maybe 6 or 8 inches, which is good. It's nice and sunny today. The fall colors are beautiful out here. All the leaves are changing colors on the trees. It's nice and sunny today. But last week, my friend Devin warned me about it, but my Starlink that was way up on that platform, the wind blew it down here. I had tied this power cord around a branch, so hopefully that slowed it down on the way to the ground when it fell. But I haven't tested that yet, so I don't know if that works. Over here, I had family come up and visit one weekend, and the next weekend I moved all my electronics. Notice the batteries are gone. When my parents came up, they brought 2 more batteries. So I waited till those got here, and then the next weekend I moved them out of here. The solar controller, all my inverters and everything out of this shock shack into the shock shed that is now insulated. The batteries are lithium, so they're not supposed to freeze. So we'll go in the shed next and give an update on that. Alright, so in the shed, last time I talked to you, there was no water in this tank, and now it's full of filtered water. I could put a little more in, which I will. But all the electronics are in here now. I used to have 2 batteries, and now I have 4. And I've got my charge controller here, my inverter here. I moved the lower power inverter because that powers everything I need. The one that's still in the shock shack is for, it's got, this one's 2,000 or 2,500 watts. The one that I was using is 3,000, and I only need that for AC, which I don't need this time of year. So, got all this working. I had it working earlier with this charge controller, and this one's really nice because it has inputs for solar and wind, which is what my hydro generator uses. And it worked for about 3 days until I tried hooking this thing up, and I short-circuited the inverter, which blew out my solar, or not solar, but charge controller. So I did that last night and saw some big sparks from here. This doesn't respond when it's plugged in. I tried resetting everything, so this morning I had to put in my old solar charger in there so that on this sunny day I can at least charge my batteries. I put in a shelf here for some organization. I've got a whole bunch of parts and miscellaneous stuff in there. These are all my trash boxes that I'm keeping dry until I use the burn barrel next, but these are batteries. This is a diesel generator, which I thought would be simple, but it's not. I have to drill holes in the floor for an exhaust pipe. The inlet I just put somewhere, but there's also an intake that I need to drill holes in the floor. So I thought it was just going to be an easy, put some diesel in it and start it up, but it's not. So that's another project. What else in here? These are charge controllers. If I plug them into my generator, each battery comes with one of those, so I can plug those into my generator to charge it. The water pump, I moved up here because I kept stepping over it. But this water pump now pumps water from this tank through this hose here, which goes to an outdoor faucet. So that's nice. And the last thing, I did have to drill a hole in here, so I've got, let's see if you can see it, one extension cord, the yellow one, going out. I've got two coming in for solar. This big black one is coming in for the alternating current for the hydro generator. And I'm going to have to eventually run another cable through there, so I did have to drill a hole in the floor for those. The water tank, last time you saw, I was using one of these temporary tanks, but now that I have water in here, we should be good pumping water here. Right now, because it's still above freezing, I'm using my tank like this that I have at the top of the hill for pressure. But filling this tank inside the shed was not easy. This is all filtered water. And in order to get it in there, I had to run it through these filters. And normally it's not an issue, but my last video I said there was algae growing in the tank on top of the hill. Even after draining it, the algae got real bad. So this 50 micron filter here, it kept clogging up real quick with algae. So every 15 minutes I would have to come out, unscrew this filter, clean it, put it back in, and it would last another 15 minutes. And so I ended up doing that about a dozen times. So I was like, I should just have some backup filters for it. I ordered some on Amazon, and they came in the mail about 4 days later, because I live in rural Missouri and I have a P.O. box. But those are right here, and the reason they're in my truck instead of plugged in is because it advertised that they are replacement filters for the iSpring, but it doesn't fit. And then I finally read the reviews on Amazon, and it's just a very cheap knockoff that doesn't even fit. So I filed a complaint, and I'm sending these back. So what I did, I just took out that filter, soaked it in vinegar, and scrubbed it down with a toothbrush, and that helped a lot. And I ended up going back up the hill, draining my whole tank again, and then I scrubbed it out with a little mop that I got down here. This mop here, I was barely able to get it in the hole, and then once it's in the hole, I was able to expand it like this, and I just scrubbed everything down, tried to get as much algae out of my tank as I could, and then drained it, refilled it, and now the water's a lot more clear, and it doesn't clog up my filter nearly as fast. So those are updates on water, electricity. Okay, the next big task that I have to do today, under here you see all these siding pieces. I keep moving them around, trying to get the chickens and guineas not to come under the shed, because if you look up, they have been pecking at my insulation. I don't think they're eating it, because I see pieces all over the ground. I think they just like how it feels, and I don't know, they like cleaning their beak on it or something. But I keep throwing sticks and rocks at them when I hear them pecking at the insulation. But that's one of my projects today. I need to put some chicken wire. I'm just going to get a stapler, staple chicken wire under here so that they can't peck at it. I thought of 3 solutions to the problem. One was to paint it all, because if it was painted, they probably wouldn't be as enticed to peck at it. But then I have to crawl under here and paint, which isn't much fun. The other option was to put an electric fence around it, because I have a solar-powered electric fence from my last garden in Texas. But I'm going to save that maybe for my garden. So my next option, I had extra chicken wire. I'm going to be stapling that to the underside of the insulated shed later today. The other big thing, on yesterday morning, I woke up early and loaded up my chainsaw on my ATV. I had to attach a bucket to it, and if you look, there's a little slit cut out right there, because my chainsaw is bigger than the bucket. So I just put my chainsaw in here, put the blade out that slit. I helped my neighbor down the bottom of the hill. He's 83 years old and still goes out and cuts his own firewood, so I helped him get 2 ATV trailers full of firewood Saturday morning. Then after I was done with that, Duke and I drove 2 hours down to Mammoth Springs, Arkansas to go get some new solar panels. So I probably only need 3 or 4 of these, but the guy was selling them for really cheap and I was driving 2 hours to get there. So I got some extra. And each one of those solar panels is 385 watts, which is quite a bit. But the reason I got those is because when winter comes and the snow hits, this is my solar arrangement right now. These are just laying on the ground, so that's going to get snow covered pretty quick. And these are also just the foldable ones. They're not very energy efficient. So my plan is I can take 3 of those solar panels and replace all 6 of these. So I'll probably build a frame facing south, maybe a little further over here, trim some shrubs, and build a rack for them. But I want it off the ground for winter time, so that's another project. The last thing to update you, so my family did come and visit. I did not get the kitten because it's going to be an outdoor cat and I thought it would be too cold. I didn't want the kitten out in the cold, so I asked my sister to find a warm home for it. But while I was in town today, after doing laundry, I stopped by Tractor Supply, got some chicken pellets and chicken food that is not pellets. But I was happy to see that Tractor Supply had this Poultry Pro feeder, made in the USA. It even says made in the USA on the back, so that's how you know it's made in the USA. I also saw this on Shark Tank, and my chickens, well, the chickens are pretty good, but the guineas, they just kick their food out of these feeders so fast and smash it into the ground. It gets wet. So I'm gonna get a tote, this tote here, put these chicken feeders on, and then the chicken has to put their head, I guess they don't demo it on here, but I saw it on Shark Tank. The chicken has to put their head inside of it in order to get to the food, so they don't just scratch it and spill it everywhere. And these keep the rain out. So that's another project for today. If you notice, this trash bin is upside down. This holds my chicken food, and those are sitting over here to dry out, because in that storm last week, the wind blew the lid up and it rained really hard inside, so all the chicken scratch got wet and the chicken treats. So those are out drying. The trash can's drying. Probably need to put either JB weld a rock on top of the lid or put a bungee cord on it. So that's another project. And we'll go up here to the camper. We'll just walk you through. I got some other projects inside to do. Camper's working real good. It's got running water. The reverse osmosis is nice. I have a bunch of extra propane here. These are all full. That one's empty. But I did purchase an extension cord for my propane that has a gauge on it. So now I can kind of tell how much propane is left in a tank. These ones fit in here fine, but I have one that needs an extension cord or extension hose. This big one is my very last backup, so if I run out of propane on all these tanks, that one I can hook up to the extension hose and have heat in the winter. My neighbor replaced their battery on their ATV, and so this was the old battery. So I told them a trick to fix it, but they didn't want to take the time to do it, so I did it. But you just take these caps off, make sure it's ventilated well, and then you hook a welder up to it and put a bunch of amps through, and it cleans off the lead inside the battery. You can YouTube it, that's how I found it. But this battery is now good and it's holding a charge, and the charger that I had out charged it up and said that it's now a good battery. So fix that. These wheel chocks I got at Walmart. I had some, well, these ones I got online. I got some at Walmart and I put them between my tires, but my tires are too far apart, and so the wheel chocks weren't actually doing anything. So this is another project, is put these between the wheels so that the camper doesn't roll anywhere. It's pretty sturdy right now, but just to be safe. Inside the camper, slowly getting things more situated and cozy. I put some hooks here for my coats. Duke's dog bed. He's got a dog bed under this blanket, so he's pretty happy with that. His food. But this is my whiteboard that I hung up with all my to-do list items. So as you can see, it's a pretty big list. Got my work computer. That's what's been keeping me busy and not posting so many videos lately, is working Monday through Friday all day long. So up here I added some nice attachments. It's hard to see. Let me turn on this light. There we go. I had no room for the remotes or my phone, so I put these little sticky shells that I found on Amazon on the walls, and so that helps out a lot. And we got the heat working in here. The reverse osmosis works really good, so no complaints there yet. It does use a bit of water, so I have to manage my water supply more carefully, because the reverse osmosis, the water that you get out, it takes water to flush the system. But that's another thing I learned when my family was here, is the water tank inside the camper is only 38 gallons. So usually I have 330 or 270 gallons up on top of the hill. But if I'm going to be filling water 38 gallons at a time, that means I have to fill it up 7 times for every one tank. So I used to do about a tank a month. Now I have to do 2 fills a week, which is stringing a hose, filling it up, draining the hose so it doesn't freeze. So my friend Devin on my last video commented, and I might do it. I already have an outdoor water spigot over here. But what I could do is put another pipe down here under the ground, run it all the way to the camper underground, and then insulate where it comes out of the ground. And then I could use one tank, and I don't have to fill that potable water tank every time. So I think I will end up doing that, but I bought a tractor attachment for, I take the bucket off of my tractor because it's a backhoe. It's got a trencher, so I would just come over here and dig a trench with the tractor all the way up there and put in a kind of permanent outdoor water faucet over here on the back side of the camper. Because right now this is just a white potable water hose, but that's going to freeze in the winter. So I think if I put a spigot in over here and then insulate it between the spigot and the camper, I think that would work pretty good. And the last thing to go over, another project. My neighbor down the hill, Dick and Barb Chitwood, they gave me a tree. He calls it a chitwood tree, but he's got a bunch of these trees on his property. They have really big leaves. This is just a little sapling, and you can see how big the leaves are already. So I need to plant this somewhere on my property that has sun. So my best plan as of yet is to put it over here in the turtle pen, because it does get sun, and that would keep the guineas and chickens from pecking at the leaves and trying to eat them. So I think I might just dig a hole in the middle of this and plant the tree right there. But yeah, that's all the updates. This is Miss Hen. She lays almost an egg a day. She's very friendly. I'm waiting for the other 7 chickens to finally start laying eggs. That'll be a nice surprise when they do. But yeah, lots of upcoming projects, a lot already done. The last thing to go over, I'm not going to do it today, but it needs to be done before heavy freeze, is all the lines, all these water lines and hoses you see laying around, most of them have water. Pressurized water to them right now. So one goes to my outdoor shower, which I still use until it gets to freezing temperatures. One goes to the camper, which is still pressurized. The other goes right here, which is for feeding chicken dishes and dog water dishes and spraying things down if I need to. These hoses, I disconnected everything from this camper. So this camper, all the water tanks are drained. There's no water going in. I need to hook some air up to the water intake and flush out all the lines before freezing temperatures come. This hose has a whole bunch of water pressure that I'm still using, but before we get freezing temperatures, I need to take this hose off right here, drain it, drain the filters, put those inside the shack where it's warm. And that's the hose that comes down from the water tank on the hill. But probably within the next week, maybe 2, I've got to come over here and drain this big hose, another 300 feet of hose that goes up to the tank. I'll have to drain that, drain my water pump, the trash pump that pumps the water, and then also this big 2-inch PVC pipe has a one-way check valve down here, so it keeps water in the tube so that it's not so painful to prime it. But I'm gonna have to somehow pick this up, lower that in, and drain this big 2-inch PVC pipe. So that has to come before freezing temperatures. But just so you can see how much higher the water level is, this just a couple weeks ago was all dry out to that far bar right there. Now there's a whole bunch of water, so I did go and walk all the way to the end of my lake and turned on the hydro generator, and it ran for about 3 days, bringing in about 20 watts at nighttime, 30 watts during the day. And I think that's because when it's cold, there's more resistance in this cable. But that's kind of how I ended up short-circuiting my charge controller, was because it still had power going in. When I tried to hook up the inverter in here, I was trying to hook this up, and what happened was this wire that I was trying to hook up came disconnected, and then I put this wire back on and it arced a big spark. So I was like, okay, let me just turn off the circuit breaker. Turned that off, tried it again, and it sparked again. But that was because even without the battery on this charge controller, the power was still coming in from the hydro generator. So yeah, that's a lesson learned. Won't do that again. But I ordered another one of these. I'm going to try to take this one apart, see if I can fix it. Hopefully there's like a fuse inside. I've taken apart one of these solar or inverters, and they have a whole bunch of 15 amp fuses. So usually if something goes bad in the inverter, you can just replace a fuse. I'm hoping the solar charger has the same thing, but time will tell on that one. Yet another project. But that is about a wrap. Fall weather has definitely come. It's been getting colder, but today is a nice, beautiful sunny day, and it's supposed to be warmer next week, so that's plenty of extra time to get the projects done. But that's a wrap for today. It's a huge update. If you see any projects that I'm working on and you have any suggestions, please leave a comment below. That's Duke and Dave signing out. Here, Chicky. These chickens were going crazy. They just found a snake. This is a baby. Duke! No. The chickens are all fighting over this. Here, Mrs. Here, chicken. Duke, come here. Come here. Oh, yes, Miss Hen is getting it. That's a baby copperhead. They were all fighting. I was like, what's going on? Because I just installed the feeder. Miss Hen just ate that whole baby copperhead. Oh, that's one less big snake to worry about. Woo-wee. So, I followed the instructions, drilling 3 inches up. But as you can see, that's a whole bag of chicken feed. Wasted because apparently these are supposed to go on the inside of the tote. So the way that I did it, all the chicken feed when I poured it into the bucket just poured all over the ground. But I just recorded a video. The chickens caught a snake, a copperhead. Miss Hen ate the whole thing. Now she needs some water. Ooh, all right. Well, I should have watched the YouTube video, because all they said was drill the 3-inch holes, and I did it just according to the instructions, but it didn't say to put those on the inside. So I'm going to try to save as much feed as I can and redo it. Alright, quick update on the task today. I spilled a bunch of chicken feed, but I was able to save a whole bunch. I just poured all the food into that tote and then swapped these around, and this works much better. So I should have read the directions a little better before I assembled it. So this is working good. The chickens caught a snake, which is good. Over here for my other task, I was going to crawl underneath and put chicken wire up, but the ground is so cold, so this is what I have now. I just put chicken wire around the outside for now. So the chickens are not going to get underneath to eat the styrofoam. So I'll either eventually put this, tack it on underneath with a staple gun like I had originally planned, or I might just paint it so that they don't eat it. But once I started unrolling the chicken wire, I was like, I don't know if I have enough to get the whole thing. So I definitely had enough to go around. So I did that, and it was easier than crawling on the ground. So that's a temporary problem solved. Got the chicken feeder done, and got some other projects. So that's just an update. And I'm going to include this on the YouTube probably, but this is from my phone. The other one I was using the GoPro. So that's it for this video.